So I should probably talk about the new Diddy allegations, the 120 victims. Well, I guess I believe the whole thing is fake, and I believe that what I said a few days ago has been taken seriously. I said, oh, my nose is still itchy. I said that this seems like a really good opportunity to kind of set him up. I think he's aware. I think he knows. And so I think the Cassie case was fake, and I think the other little Rod was fake. And I'm not too sure about the ones from like 20, 30 years ago, that they might be genuine people who have come forward. But I felt like the point of doing the fake Cassie indictment or the fake Cassie lawsuit and the little Rod lawsuit was to find out who would turn against Diddy, who would make allegations that probably aren't true, and I think you found maybe two. I don't know if they. I think you did find two, but yeah. Now that you've taken things to the next level, and I think you're pretending to put him in prison, and I think it'd be quite easy to set that up. You know, you tell the people in the prison that this guy is in prison. He's just in a different prison because his life's obviously going to be in danger, so it's important not to reveal where he actually is. You know, you could say that you can tell the prison guards in the prison that he's actually in a different prison, when really he's not in a different prison. He's just sort of in his house hiding. I don't know if that's the case, you know, but I do think this loss, I do think most things, I think this arrest is not the truth, and I don't think he had 1,000 bottles of baby oil, and I think a lot of the things in the case are not true. But you know, if Cassie has filed a lawsuit and then got 30 million pounds for staying silent, then she's staying silent, and you can't arrest Diddy because she's now not allowed to testify in court. Because she's taken a huge amount of money. If you've agreed to take a huge amount of money to be silent, that's basically like you saying that I'm no longer a victim. I know of all these allegations and I've got my money. So but yeah, I feel like the fact that the lawyer firm is called Busby, I feel like you've deliberately set that up to prove that you are actually on my side. If you are watching this video and don't believe that this is the truth, I am Christ, I am God, and this would be why they would take my views seriously, because you know, Cassie is the angel of the devil's tease, who I named, and I haven't named little Rod or anyone, but the rod is in the Bible is supposed to be he will control with the rod or something. I'm sure there's a line about something controlling with the rod, and I don't know if that's got anything to do with him, but if the 120 or if 3,000 people have made claims against Diddy, I feel like it's like Annie. You know how Annie, they put an ad out saying we'll give you a huge amount of money if you can prove that you're Annie's parents, and there was a whole bunch of people who came forward, and they probably knew that Annie was not their child. They did not have a girl. They did not put a girl in an orphanage, but they were willing to go to the house to try and pretend to be Annie's parents so that they can gain loads of money. And I just believe that whatever's going on with this lawsuit is a similar sort of thing, and people are doing this test, and I know exactly why. Martin Dodd was Michael Jackson in his past life, and pretty much the same thing happened to him. You know, there was a couple of people who made allegations against Michael Jackson about him sleeping in a bed with children and having showers with them and then seeing them naked. And you know what, I do think that he did those things. I know when I was dating, not dating, but I was seeing a guy who was helping with his website and his coffee business, which didn't really go anywhere, but he was with a child naked and washing her in a bath, and I thought this was like, is she a bit too old for this? Like, is this right? Is this wrong? I don't know. He thought there was nothing wrong with it, and I was like, yeah, well, I think she's kind of getting to the age where you should let her wash by herself, but I don't know. There is a stage where it's kind of questionable, and I think he too was, Michael Jackson was at that sort of questionable age, but as soon as a couple of people started suing him for huge amounts of money and he didn't want to go to jail, he started paying out the victims and being like, you know what, you're not a victim, I don't agree with this, but I don't want to go to jail, so here's millions of pounds, because the idea of rotting in a jail cell does not sound very good, so I would just be willing to I don't care about money, take it, you won, I will never have anything to do with children ever again. I think he definitely regretted having any communication with them because of these allegations that he thought he was doing the kids a favour by giving them a much better house and playing with them and helping them, but it turned out that the world was a lot colder, and there was a lot of parents willing to use this situation to get the children to say certain things to try and make money out of him, and the more he paid out, the more victims there seemed to show up, and I just feel like this whole thing has been set up in a similar way, only this time people know that there aren't this sex allegations hasn't happened. I'm not saying that Diddy hasn't been spiking drinks. I mean, he probably has been adding more alcohol in, or perhaps even a small amount of cannabis or whatever. I'm not saying that the drinks weren't laced, but I think it's really important that you know how laced, or how, if all they do is just make you get drunk a little bit faster, then you should feel it and you should stop. And I don't think Diddy has ever had sex with a passed out woman. But if the majority of the claims are saying this, well, that's actually good on their part, because it means that they don't have to go into details about what happened, because they could just say, oh, I was passed out, I don't know. So on a victim's perspective, if you want to lie about something that didn't happen, but if you just say that I don't remember, then it kind of means that you don't have to go into details and you don't have to get caught out on a lie, because you could just say that you don't remember. Because some of the first victims that came forward were all like 20, 30 years ago, it means that some of these 120 people might have, might start saying that, oh, it happened 20 years ago. And maybe they had experienced something. I mean, even if they go to a party, meet someone, go back to someone else's house and then have that happen to them, they could twist that around and be like, oh, Diddy did it. And, they could have other experiences where they're at a different party, and maybe Diddy's at the party somewhere, but and then someone else that's completely unrelated and had nothing to do with Diddy, they might have found themselves in that situation where they don't remember the night, and any incident where they've been to a party and they know Diddy's there, they can now use this if they want to come forward and start lying about Diddy. They could easily do this, and they could easily make out, oh, this happened, or I had a drink, I was laced, I don't remember the next night, but I know that Diddy was there, and I think Diddy did this because I saw him, when really maybe you just saw him across the room, and that was about all your connection with. But the fact that the lawyer firm is called Busby, and my surname is B, and I'm God and I'm Christ, and I feel like this would be a really good test for America to see how many liars there are and how many people would come forward. I do not believe that Diddy would have sex with someone who's unconscious, and maybe I'm wrong. I always acknowledge the fact that I was not there, so I don't know. And if it turns out that I am wrong, well, I'm probably just seeing him for a better perspective than I should. But I do think that this is all a setup, and it's very interesting how everything, every comment, every video is all negative. Oh, he did this. Of course he did this. He's so disgusting. The man deserves a death sentence. I've heard all sorts of. I've read some other comments, and it's all. He needs to die, basically, or of course he did this. How sick an individual is, and you're actually just thinking, what? So what? He's got. There's a couple of people who are listed as people he's paying regularly for sex. So he's got Young Miami or something? Young Miami, and there was like two others who he regularly pays for sex, which, that's his choice, that's his... So he's got those, and then he was dating Cassie supposedly for 10 years, and then he's got Kim Porter, who he's had a child with, and he's got 10 children or something. He's got a lot of children, and a lot of them have come from different mothers. So he's obviously getting a lot of sex, and then what? You think there's 120 other people who he's been having sex with on top of that? Like, do you think he really needs to have sex every single day for him to? I don't know, but it sounds unbelievable. The fact that he had all these people that he was regularly paying for sex for and regularly dating, and then to think that there are a ton of other people. Does he need to have sex with unconscious people for him? When he's got all these other people that are happy to. I can't say for certain what the details are, but what I can say is I think that this is a number that's being used to set up to find out how many of the sort of Annie parents there are out there who are willing to come forward and say Diddy did this, when really they are all lying. So time will tell if I'm right.